Sports and RPGs may seem like an odd match, but games like Golf Story, Blood Bowl, and the classic Mario Sports releases prove that the two genres can provide an addictive concoction when mixed together. There's a reason fantasy football appeals to more than just sports fans. Dodgeball Academia applies this formula to a more niche sport and launched onto Game Pass at the beginning of August. But can it hold up against the pillars of the mashup? Let's find out if Dodgeball Academia is a game pass or a game fail. Dodgeball Academia takes place in a world ruled by dodgeball to a comical degree. The protagonist, Otto, is sent to referee school by his parents, but instead he runs away to the titular academy to become one of the best dodgeball players in the world. The academy is in danger of losing its mythical hero's dodgeball that powers the school, so it's up to the students to improve enough to sustain its life. The faculty organizes a tournament to find the school's best players, and shenanigans ensue. Otto forms a team to save the school, and he does so on multiple occasions in just the first couple hours of play. Dodgeball Academia's forced dodgeball references are fun, but Otto's no Vince Vaughn or Ben Stiller. The characters manage to have distinct personalities, and even the antagonists are likable. This is a good thing because there's a lot of writing to read, and the story progresses very slowly. It's telling that even 4 chapters in, we've only visited 2 main areas, and while each location is dense, we are ready for a change of scenery. Each major story sequence is padded by a couple events, but we're still interested in where the overall prose is going, especially with some of the hints towards a wider world. We just wish it would get there a little faster. As you might expect, you play a lot of dodgeball, since it essentially takes the place of typical RPG battles. Your 3-player team must reduce the opponent's team's hit points by striking them with dodgeballs. Dodging, catching, or deflecting balls comprises the defensive side of the game. Each character has different special abilities like curved or flaming shots, along with an over-the-top ultimate super move. The gameplay is simple but fun, and there's a high skill ceiling in trying to avoid taking damage. Dodgeball Academia's RPG elements are surprisingly robust. As characters level up, their stats improve and they gain extra abilities. We just wish there were more choices in the upgrades and they were more interesting. Each character has multiple equipment slots for stat buffs, and there are plenty of Pokemon-like elements to keep things interesting. Battles are frequent. You can mix and match your active party. There's a blatant Pokemon Center ripoff, and health carries over between matches. The game plays on this mechanic, forcing you to work through a gauntlet of teams, much like taking on a gym in Pokemon. The constant healing that's required sometimes makes it tedious to play. The biggest problem with Dodgeball Academia is that it's poorly balanced. The average battle against random students is a breeze, but matches against major characters are a different story. They have a lot of hit points and their own ultimate moves that vary wildly. Some are trivially easy to dodge, while others are nearly impossible to avoid. There are also more traditional boss encounters, and their hit point totals are even larger. You can't even grind to make these battles easier. We've completed all the side quests, and we are still struggling at times. We need to get better, but we are surprised it's so challenging so early on. Depending on your perspective, Dodgeball Academia has launched into Game Pass at a peculiar time. EA's Knockout City is the new kid on the block, and it's great, but it doesn't include RPG elements. So either players will overlook Dodgeball Academia because they found a similar experience they already like, or Knockout City will convince them to further investigate the subject matter. Both Madden and FIFA have story-driven RPG modes, but they take a more realistic approach to their respective sports, and their stories are terrible. There are plenty of traditional RPGs on the service, but none that scratch this particular itch. There are action RPGs like the Bethesda and BioWare games, dungeon crawlers like Hades, and the Yakuza games are a closer facsimile, but Dodgeball Academia truly stands alone on Game Pass. Now it's time to find out, is Dodgeball Academia a game pass or a game fail? Dodgeball Academia takes the proven concept of the sports RPG, adapts it to a unique sport, and injects a ton of personality. It also leans on its story and deep RPG elements a lot more than its competitors. The pacing and balancing are uneven, but the core gameplay is good enough to almost carry the game on its own. It's only 8 chapters long, so it doesn't take much commitment to achieve the satisfaction of completing it. Knockout City may be making all the waves in the dodgeball space right now, but Dodgeball Academia carves out its own niche to provide a unique experience that doesn't come along very often. Don't overlook this interesting RPG. Dodgeball Academia gets a game pass. For next week, the randomizer selects the Falconeer.